lights of Hollywood are bright, but they can't quite eliminate the dark secrets of Tinseltown. Here are the top 10 celebrities hiding the darkest Hollywood secrets. Mark Wahlberg is making headlines for David Beckham's lawsuit against him, but that is just one more controversy on a long list that often gets overlooked. His first noted transgression happened almost 4 decades ago in 1986. Wahlberg and his friend group at the time had a civil rights injunction issued for them because they were throwing things and yelling racially insensitive words. Then 2 years after that, he proved he could be worse, acting in an aggressive manner towards 2 Vietnamese men. He was sentenced to 2 years for that one, served 45 days. 1992 was the incident with his neighbor. Then there was the pay scandal from 2018 when he worked on All the Money in the World. He got $1.5 million for the reshoots. Michelle Williams got $1,000. He did donate his portion after the backlash, which that was good. Still, his track record is an interesting one, and these are just the things we know about. Wahlberg has said, though, that he has spent the better part of his life trying to make up for his past wrongs. Most of Hollywood seems to want us to believe that paparazzi are out, just roaming like vultures, just waiting to snap the perfect photo, and that's not always true. Sometimes paparazzi might spontaneously be at a location if it's a known celebrity hub, or a hotel before a premiere, or a popular celebrity's house, or even a star-studded town like LA. But those random shots of people leaving the grocery store in the middle of nowhere or some random coffee shop, those might not be as authentic as we are made to believe. Turns out paparazzi are sometimes called to a location, whether that's just to get some pictures of new talent out there or to help set up a PR stunt. A paparazzi that regularly works with the Kardashians shared that Kim Kardashian sometimes texts him her location, even flying her favorite paparazzi around the world with her to get those perfect, glamorous, candid shots. Sure, some pictures of celebrities are definitely the real caught-off-guard thing, but definitely not all of them. Rebecca Ferguson may have let us know about a particularly nasty encounter with a castmate, but she is keeping their name out of the headlines, for now at least. Ferguson is in the film Dune 2, which just had its press tour. It was during an interview with Josh Smith on the tour that Ferguson revealed the shocking info that she was once screamed at on set by a co-star. The case was taken up by internet sleuths in no time, theories all over social media about who it could have been. Ferguson has chosen to keep that part to herself. She has since expressed that she shared the story mainly because it was a turning point in her perception of herself and her career, and wanted to share the story because it fit the question Smith had asked her. Still, people are angry about the way she was treated and what was said to her. The unnamed co-star allegedly yelled, "You call yourself an actor? This is what I have to work with? What is this?" Ferguson shared that though it did hurt in the moment, it was the first time she stood up for herself on a set, telling the person to get off her set and F off, and that she never wants to see them again. Since we don't know who she is talking about, we don't know if she never saw them again, but hopefully not. For the longest time, Britney Spears was hiding some pretty dark secrets, but not because she wanted to. During the pandemic, people began noticing something was up with Spears, and soon people started to piece together the restrictive nature of her conservatorship. The news of how her father basically, allegedly, controlled every aspect of the singer's life rocked the internet and led to a large social media outcry to free Britney. The star allegedly had little control over her finances, family life, and just her life in general. Her book, The Woman in Me, dropped in 2023 and revealed more interesting stories and secrets about the singer's life. One particular story about how she got pregnant took the internet by storm. While Britney and Justin Timberlake were dating, she got pregnant with his baby, but felt she couldn't keep the child even though she really wanted to. Justin Timberlake just didn't feel ready to be a father, so Britney felt forced to end the pregnancy. In her book she wrote, "If it had been left up to me alone, I never would have done it, and to this day it's one of the most agonizing things I have ever experienced in my life." The book highlighted that being the most popular person in the world is not everything it's cracked up to be, and Britney's story showcased just how controlled Hollywood stars might be. Madonna is a bit of a wild child now and no stranger to controversy, but she hasn't always had the easiest time. She's got a pretty rough history with ex-husband Sean Penn. Penn was accused of acting rudely towards the Material Girl singer during their marriage. The breaking point in the marriage happened when Penn allegedly tied Madonna to a chair and left. left. She sat for 9 hours. She did escape and managed to get to a police station to file a complaint. Penn was charged, but Madonna ended up pulling the complaints and instead filed for divorce, leaving the marriage with "May God bless and keep him, but far, far from me." Sean Penn's career may have suffered briefly, but he's still very active in Hollywood and has been in multiple big films over the years since the 1988 incident. Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis tried to keep this secret as hidden as possible, much to the disappointment of their fans and the internet in general. Kutcher and Kunis starred on That 70s Show alongside Danny Masterson. Masterson was found guilty of acting inappropriately towards 2 women and will spend 30 years behind bars for his behavior. Great news to the average person. It was great news that he was even going to trial. It seems the news wasn't so awesome to Kutcher and Kunis, as the pair penned letters to the judge handling Masterson's case asking for leniency. The internet did not appreciate their efforts and was quick to put the actors in their place, so much so that they posted an apology video to Instagram. Alfred Hitchcock's legacy has shielded some of his more deranged actions from the public's consciousness in the decades since he has passed. Many hear the name and recall amazing films expertly put together, but the expert has truly insane ways of achieving what we get to see on the screen. It might surprise you, or not surprise you at all, to learn that the methods of creating his horror movie The Birds were just as horrific as the movie. Lead actress of the film, Tippi Hedren, shares a particularly harrowing story in her 2016 memoir Tippi. She writes about the day they were going to film the famous scene where her character is attacked by birds in the bedroom. Tippi shares that she was told the birds in the scene were going to be robotic. However, on the day of the shoot, she found out from the assistant director that the mechanical birds weren't working, so they had no choice but to use live birds. No choice? Really? Okay. This led to a brutal experience for the actress. 5 days of filming the scene where live birds were thrown at her. Tippi describes the ordeal as brutal and ugly and relentless, but it was going to get worse. On the final day, Hitchcock decided to tie the birds to her while she was laying on the floor, and once action was called, the birds started to peck. It wasn't until one nearly got her eye that she stopped it all and was doing so bad she had to go on a doctor's mandated week of rest. Judy Garland is forever immortalized as the cheerful, sweet Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, but the Ruby Red legacy is hiding a lot more heartache than anyone could have guessed. She didn't have an amazing relationship with her mother, and her schedule while working for MGM was always packed. Days started early and sometimes ended in the early morning of the next day. This led to Garland needing some outside assistance to keep on her feet, the kind of thing that would plague her for the rest of her life. The set of The Wizard of Oz looked magical, but it was no place for a girl. She was placed on a strict diet so she could look as small as possible so she would appear as young as possible. She endured poor treatment from studio exec and other actors throughout her career before passing away in 1969. Another example of a young star that was kept under close watch is Jennette McCurdy. She is also another example of a celeb who used a book to discuss her complicated feelings surrounding growing up famous. McCurdy's book, I'm Glad My Mom Died, does contain plenty of stories about her mom's treatment of her, which we will get to, but it also contained insider info on the experience of child stars. McCurdy writing that she felt her whole childhood and adolescence was very exploited. She shared that even years later, after being kind of out of the spotlight, she still feels the effects. She writes, "It still gives my nervous system a reaction to say it. There were cases where people had the best intentions and maybe didn't know what they were doing, and also cases where they knew exactly what they were doing. Most people hope that if a child is going to be entering the workforce of Hollywood so young, they would have a good parent at their side. Unfortunately, Jennette's book highlights that this isn't always the case. She shares stories of times she wished her mom had stepped up more, like when she had felt pressured into doing a bikini photo shoot when she wasn't yet 18. McCurdy continues to share situations that young stars might be put in by adults, including one in which McCurdy was offered an adult drink by someone she referred to as the creator. Jennette shared that whenever she would bring up how she felt uncomfortable with something, she would receive the comment, "Everyone wants what you have." The way young stars are treated in Hollywood is a profoundly uncomfortable topic, one that was just touched on in the landmark Quiet on Set documentary about Nickelodeon. One of the major stories that was told was that of Drake Bell. Without going into too many details, Bell was one of the biggest young actors Nickelodeon had. He was in a few different shows, mainly Drake and Josh, but would do guest appearances on other shows. He was a big deal. He was known for his outgoing, bright personality. So it came as a big shock to the world to hear about everything he was dealing with behind closed doors in the documentary. A dialect coach that worked with Nickelodeon had been acting inappropriately towards the young actor for an extended period of time. The coach did go to court, but in the opinion of many, did not get an adequate punishment for his behavior. Bell had kept the secret to himself for many years, but has now felt okay enough to share his experience. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Have a great rest of your day. Bye!